listen up, y'all. It's the queen of automation, Donnelly, here to give you inspiration. Founders and business owners gather round. I'ma show you how to build systems that'll astound. Streamline your processes, no need for
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Queen of Automation podcast, where we talk about why technology is only good when it works and how I help you make it work. Today we're going to talk about something a little unique and a little different. I want to talk about how growing up on stage and performing has helped me become a better entrepreneur and better with user experience and customer experience than I ever could have dreamed of. And it's totally a unique story that I feel you all will relate with in how your past shapes your future and your future self, your future career, all of those things. So first, I'm going to tell you about my past, and then I'll connect it to what I'm doing now and the Queen of Automation and all of the things that you know me as. So when I was younger, I was super into musical theater and music and dance. I have been dancing and singing on stage since I was probably 2 or 3 years old, and on up. I was always very creative and musically talented. I've been classically trained in voice and classically trained on the violin, and have been performing with different summer stock community theaters and the likes, and all the way up through high school and everything. So it's this crazy world that I've now moved into, right? So I went from being this very creative, to a very technical person, which is two really opposite ends of the spectrum, which really kind of harnesses why I'm considered a unicorn, because I use both sides of my brain. My brain is very analytical, but it's also very creative. So that's kind of how this came to be. That's like it's meshed together. But growing up performing for people, it's helped me learn how to tap into people's emotions. It's helped me learn how to make people happy. It's really taught me how to be a better user experience person and how to put the customer, to put the customer first. Because when you're on stage performing, whether it's a musical or a play, or you're doing a comedy show, which by the way, I've never done. Anytime you're on stage performing in a play or a musical, or if you're on stage performing and playing music, or you're singing or any of that, you are performing for your audience, right? So obviously the point is to make them happy. The point is not to get booed off stage, right? So you do the best you can, and you put your heart and your soul into each and every performance, so that each and every audience, every time someone comes to watch you perform, they leave happy. They leave feeling emotional about the performance. Obviously it's very, very different when it is an opera versus a, Les Miserables, which is a kind of war love story, or Cats, the musical, which is people dancing around in cat costumes, like each one of these things affects your emotions differently, right? Like, so by doing that and spending so much time on stage and growing up doing all of these kind of musical theater things and performing for people musically, whether it was playing the violin or whether it was singing a classical song, singing a jazz song. I did a jazz band for a while, or performing in a musical, or doing Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I loved jumping on a stage and performing Shakespeare. Was really fun. Each one of those performances had to provide a different experience for the audience. For example, my very first role was Annie. So, the sun will come out tomorrow, right? Like I was just this little kid who was an orphan, and and actually before that I was Molly, the little girl, like the little whiny girl that cried all the time, right? So the point of her was to make everyone feel sorry for her, right? Like you had to get people to feel emotionally sorry for you. Annie was the orphan that met Daddy Warbucks, that, transitioned into this, this heartthrob story of look at what she overcame, So there's that. And in Shakespeare is a lot of love stories and a lot of comedies, right? So figuring out how to be funny and make people laugh. I was in Cinderella, and I, oddly enough, for anyone who has been watching, and no, I'm not a very big person. I've always been a really kind of small human. And I was in Cinderella, and I played the ugly, fat stepsister. And they had to put like pillows around me, and like they duct taped me up, and they made me like this like fat little like oompa loompa, like because I'm not tall either, so like I was like this fat oompa loompa looking, like walking around. And she was the mean fat stepsister who made everybody, but she was super funny because she was super stupid. So it was just, that role was like transformational for me because it was completely opposite of who I feel like I am. And I had to make everybody laugh, and I had to be really, really dumb and really sarcastic and really, okay. So yes, I'm sarcastic now, but I had to be really, really stupid and play this really stupid, like fat person. And it was hilarious. And when I look back at the tapes and stuff and watch myself back in some of these things now, I'm like, wow, I was really good at that. That was really funny. Like, and I still laugh at myself, even though I know what the role is. So when you think about user experience in your business and you think about how to connect with your customers and your audience, that's what they are. They are your audience. These are people that you want to celebrate you. These are people you want to be your brand promoters. How can you connect to them emotionally? What do you want your products or your services to make people feel? How do you want them to feel? For us, I want people, when they work with my team, to feel like this. Like, I want them to feel like there's a weight lifted off their shoulders. By the time they're done working with us, they get more time back in their day, in their life, and they just feel better. They feel happier. They feel more fulfilled because they're not as stressed out because they're working all the time, right? Like, we're providing time back. Are we providing software? Absolutely. Are we providing systems and processes? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the real thing that we're giving someone back is time. By putting and simplifying people's operations, we're giving them back time. So when you think about your product or your service that you're offering someone and that you're putting out to the world, it's not your ghostwriter. That's not what you're offering somebody. What's the thing that you're offering them? Yes, you're writing for them. That's fundamentally, that's what you're doing. But that's not the emotion. That's not the thing that you need to tap into. That's not the thing that you're giving them back. You're giving them back. I mean, a ghostwriter also gives people back time. So you're giving them back time, but there's more than that. Basically, all I'm trying to say is when you are looking at your brand, your business, your products and services, and you're trying to talk to your audience, you're trying to talk to your customers, and you really want them to engage with you and understand who you are, you need to connect with them emotionally. You need to figure out what the thing is, humor. We use a lot of humor. We use a lot of sarcasm, right? Like, we like to have fun, but we also really like our customers to feel comfortable. And we are very transparent. We are very open. We're not afraid to tell people, hey man, like, your shit sucks. You are doing way too much. Like, this is way too complicated. Like, I'm very open and honest and transparent with people who work for me or work with me. I just tell people how it is because I don't feel like beating around the bush and like trying to always kind of, yes, we do it in a diplomatic way, but if it takes me 3 days to tell you how your stuff isn't working, that is not helpful and that is not saving time, right? Like, that's not the point. Like, the goal is 2 hours. I'm going to tell you where we can simplify your business, and then we're going to start simplifying your business. Like, that's the thing. And with all of you, you have that thing, that one thing that you're offering. You have whatever that is. Tap into that. Tap into that emotion. Tap into what you're offering someone and really use that. Like, think about it. You're on stage and you're in a musical, you're in a play, you're in a show. Think about your brand as the character, right? Your brand is the character in your own show. When someone is watching your show, what do you want them to feel? How do you want them to feel? When they leave the show and they go out onto the street, or your newspaper reporter is sitting in the audience, and when he leaves and he's going to go write his article about how good or bad this show was, what do you want him to say? What's the story you want him to tell his friends and them to tell their friends? And the trickle down theory about your brand, about your story, about your show. That's the message. That was my kind of aha moment that I had with my team last week when I said this to him. I was like, oh, you know what? This has really helped me become an entrepreneur, and I didn't even know it. That's why. I was like, wow, now that I can think about it. And then it was super funny because they said, Andrea, she says to me, she says, you should do a podcast episode on this. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. And so here we are, we hit record. And so now I'm just telling you all, this is why it works. This is how this has affected me and shaped my being able to do this, being able to have conversations, being able to talk to people, being able to emotionally connect with people and network with people. It just was funny that it never dawned on me before. So that's my story. And that is how I think all of you need to look at your brand, your products, and your services. It's a show. What do you want people to feel when they leave the show? What do you want people to tell their friends about your show, about your brand, about your products or your services? So go out there, figure out what emotion you're trying to tap into, figure out what you want people to feel after they're done watching the show. And yeah, let me know how it goes. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. This was a fun episode. And we will see you next week. And remember, technology is only good when it works. Bye, everybody.